In today's video, I'm gonna show you how I'm able to easily achieve streak-free, perfect windows every time. Now we're gonna go through all the tips and tools that I use, so I'll have all that stuff linked down in the description for you guys so you can get this stuff easily if you'd like to. But again, this is going to be chemical-free. I'm not using any specialty cleaners, just microfiber towels, a few little secret weapons, and water. Now when we talk about these secret weapons, it's because I made a similar video to this a few years ago showing how I clean windows just using water and microfibers. Now I got tons of positive comments on that video and tons of people writing me saying thank you so much because that is now their normal glass routine as well. But there were also some comments stating that, hey, sometimes, for bug guts or fingerprints on the window or off-gassing when you get a new car or dog smudges, sometimes you need a little bit more. So we're definitely gonna be covering that today with these new items that I'm talking about as well. But first things first, let's go ahead and talk about what causes streaks. And basically, simple enough, contamination. Now that contamination can come in a lot of different forms. It could be, like I said, oils and things like that from fingerprints on the glass that are just kind of smearing around. It could also be contamination from a chemical, your cleaning chemical, right? Sometimes they're going a little bit too much and you have a hard time removing all of it. That's why I like to use water. But the contamination can also come from your towel. So that's very, very important that when you do your windows, make sure you have dedicated towels that are specifically used just for your windows. You don't want to transfer any other chemical. Even if you wash them, sometimes there can still be a little bit of residue in that towel. You go to clean that on glass and it's gonna streak. So make sure you have dedicated towels. Now talking about the towels, there are two main ones that I like to use. Basically when I'm looking for a window towel, I wanna know that it is going to be lint free. I don't wanna come across the glass and leave a bunch of little specks of lint behind. So lint free, and then also good absorption. I don't wanna be too much, but I want a good amount of absorption where I'm not leaving too much water on the panel. It picks it up nice and fast, but also stays a little bit moist so that I'm actually able to clean it out with just with a light hand. Now I do want to clarify, typically when you're cleaning your windows, it's after washing your car, right? That's your kind of last step before finishing up the job, cleaning up the windows. So you're a little bit tired, probably a little bit hot and sweaty. You want to get that job done nice and easily, so this should be the solution for you. But while you're washing your car, it's important to take note of things like big bug guts and things like that on your windshield and the exterior panels of your glass. And that's where my secret weapon number 1 and 2 come in, because it's basically the same thing but in two different forms. Number 1 is going to be this guy here, the Autofiber Bug and Decon Towel Flip Towel. So it's basically 4 different surfaces, but it's a nice one little deal. It's not a big towel. It essentially is, but it's sewn in a way that you don't have to deal with it. Now, like I said, number 2 is a very similar thing. This is going to be their block scrubber. They actually advertise this for bug and interior cleaning, but for me, it's fantastic for windows, and I'll go into when I use each of these. First off, as I'm just washing the car, I typically go with the flip towel. As you can see, it's got that bug decontamination surface to it, all these little holes, and I personally don't like to use that on paintwork. I still think it's a little bit aggressive, but on glass, this thing is an absolute game changer. You just go across your glass. These little things will help you kind of dig in and remove any of the bug guts or whatever else. Also, when you're on your interiors, the interior of your glass, same exact thing here, guys. This is where a lot of people say, well, sometimes you need a cleaner to break through some of the contamination. This, like anything, when you're talking about paint, you have your chemical decontamination or your mechanical, right? You could either use clay or an iron remover, or both, obviously. But those are kind of the clay will be your mechanical decontamination, and then the iron remover will be your chemical decontamination. When the windows come into play, I go strictly for the mechanical, meaning I'm actually doing the work instead of chemical, because the chemical can potentially cause streaking. Now the other one, again, is the block has the same texture on one side. The other side is just a microfiber pad. When do I like doing this? Pretty much as I'm going around the vehicle, I just load this thing up. If there's a side that needs to be scrubbed, I have that. Otherwise, I just have the microfiber. It applies the water very, very nicely. I can take my towel and mop it up super, super easily. Now back to the towels that I use. There's 2 options that I typically go with. Either one, this is a new one that I've been using and I absolutely love it. It's kind of become my new go-to, and it is the Autofiber Mr. Everything roll of towels. 20 towels on this thing. It's 30 bucks, so $1.50 a towel, fantastic value. 70-30 blend, 300 GSM, edgeless, no tags, no linting. They have a good amount of absorption. They're a little bit of they have a lot of backing to that towel as well, so it doesn't want to flop over on you. So just really easy to keep a nice flat surface and get a nice clean finish. The other option is this guy here. 16 by 16, also edgeless, also tagless, but this is only a 200 GSM towel. And the reason I like these ones, this is what I've always used in the past until I found these guys, but these are still fantastic, is they glide across the surface of the glass very, very well, even in direct heat. I will show you guys a little special trick that I do in direct heat as well, but these are the tools that I like to use. And then also obviously a reacher tool from Auto Fiber as well. I personally don't use that. I've let you guys know that I'm used to reaching across the inside of the windshield and things like that. But if you don't want to do that, if it's too much of a strain, this is a phenomenal tool. They actually have a new extension that comes with it now. Adds another 5 inches to your reach. Phenomenal tool. It's highly, highly recommend that. So now let's go over to a vehicle. I'll start showing you the exact process that I use for the basic cleanup, and then we'll go back and talk about heavier decontamination and things like that. All right, guys, so really quickly, I'm gonna show you how I do the glass, like I said, and this is gonna be the most basic situation. It's gonna get you streak-free glass, even in direct sunlight, because I am a mobile detailer, and man, there's so many situations where I'm at a customer's house, there's no shade around, I have nothing else I can do. This is the way I do it. So first things first, you're gonna unlock the vehicle, obviously. What I'm gonna do here, because most, not all, windows are gonna have a frame around it, right? We want to first start the vehicle or just get it powered up. We're gonna drop the window so that we don't miss out on this top edge here. This gets recessed into the frame. So many times there's a bunch of gunk on this, and you don't wanna leave that behind, because when you're either yourself or for me as a professional, I don't want my customer to get in the car, oh, it looks great, and then roll down that window and see this big line that I didn't get. So make sure to do this. We're just gonna take the wet towel, rub it across the top. Now that was probably, here, just so you guys can see, I don't wanna get too far in front of myself. So when you're using this, right, I just saturated this. Now you can use any type of water. You can use deionized water, distilled water, or water straight from the tap. You're still gonna get a great finish, no problem. This is straight from the tap. I'm not using anything special here. The towel is saturated. You just wanna give it a little squeeze. Right, you don't need it that wet unless you're working in direct sunlight on a hot day, then the more moisture, but we'll talk about that in a second. So that's it, right? We'll hit that top edge, and then we'll switch over to our dry towel. So again, I have multiple towels here. I actually have 4. Anytime your window or your towel starts getting saturated, switch it out immediately, guys. You don't wanna have that moisture in there that's going to be fighting you from getting a perfect finish. Sometimes if there's moisture, you'll leave a little bit of hazing, and you don't want to do that. So as you can see, I do that, flip the towel. That top edge is now good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this back up the rest of the way. And now we can work the window as normal. So I'm gonna take my wet towel again, box it in. I usually hit the sides first and then come into the middle, okay? Take my towel, same process. Follow that same pattern on the outsides like that, work my way in. Okay, there's still moisture on the surface. I'm flipping my towel to a nice new dry side. Same exact process. Okay, I can feel this towel wanting to grab a little bit right now. We're not leaving any lint behind though. That's the important thing. Okay, and that is good to go. If I was feeling any concern, I would go to another towel just to make sure and just do a light buff, just like so. And now it's perfect. Moving on to the inside, exactly the same process here, guys. But we will get into shortly, if you do have a bunch of fingerprints and things like that, I'll show you that here in a second. But again, box it in, go to the edges, work your way to the inside. Take a nice dry towel, work the outsides, okay? And then start boxing it in. Flip the towel and do the same thing. Now, when we're talking about the pressure that I'm applying here on the towel, right? Am I pushing hard? Am I pushing soft? I'm really letting the towel do the work. So just light pressure so that you have nice, the towel glides nicely and is picking everything up. There you go. Perfect window, nice and clean. All right, now as I said, same thing goes for the windshield and any other glass on the vehicle, including your mirrors and things like that. Same process works fantastic. The only time I want more moisture in my towel, like I said, is when I'm cleaning the windshield, either inside or outside, especially in direct hot sun, hot days. A lot of times in hot weather, you'll do this, and this will want to flash out immediately. So you're kind of chasing it and trying to get a good finish. The problem when you do that is, say you do a middle section, get that good, then you move over here, get that good. Sometimes something will transfer over to the other side. You don't want to do that. So here's what I do. Very, very simply, rub the whole area, get it all good and saturated as much as I can. Then I will take this towel. The wet one will be my lead towel. So I'll go and then follow with the dry one right behind it. And just like that, back and forth. This is gonna pick up enough water so that I'm not leaving too much, and then I can come back just with that little bit of moisture on there and wipe it out to a perfect finish. Now, it's not working the way it normally would in here. I'm leaving a little bit of a moisture behind, but that's because it's not hot and I'm not in direct sun. So I have to do one more wipe to get it all good. There we are. Now it's perfect. But that is a fantastic tip for when you're working in those situations where you have to work in direct sun. All right, guys, I'm over here now. Hopefully you can see me, and we're gonna talk about the inside of the glass now. I'm gonna show you my process and then also show you again, the auto fiber reacher tool, where it just makes it a lot easier for you if you're not comfortable with the contortion that you have to do. When you're doing your windshield, very, very, very important to keep that dry towel. So even if I really just bring 2 dry towels with me at all times just in case. But basically what we're gonna do here, I take care of this in 2 different sections, guys. Hopefully you can see me. I apologize if you can't. But basically I will go driver's side up to the rear view mirror, okay? Agitate all that. Again, if I need to use something more aggressive, I will, and we'll talk about that here in a second with those other pads that I showed you. Then I will take the dry towel. Now, if you're working in direct sun, you're gonna have to move very, very quickly with this. So same thing, box it out, right? So edges, and then come to the middle, okay? And I like to go horizontal, then vertical, and then flip the towel to a nice dry side, and just come back lightly again, no pressure on it. Just mopping it up and absorbing anything that might be left over that you don't want there. To a nice perfect finish, good to go. And then I'll come back across, hang outside of the car a little bit, and do the passenger side up to the rear view mirror as well. Same thing. This towel that I've been using is starting to get saturated. I'm gonna hit it anyways. I'm gonna leave a little bit of moisture behind, and then I'm gonna switch over to my dry towel that is fresh and no moisture on it, and then go over lightly to a nice perfect streak-free finish with no chemicals. You don't have to worry about any of that. There's nothing worse than having streaks from chemicals left behind. That's why I for the last, I don't know, almost 15, 16 years of my detailing business, this is how I've been doing windows, and it works every time. Now, if you don't like that contortion, you can take, hopefully you guys can see me in here, the auto fiber reacher tool, and just reach across. Now it's perfect because it fits a nice corner, and as you can see, it keeps the pad and towel nice and flat. That's what you want. So that way you get a nice, even, consistent finish with no streaks. There you go. All right, guys, so super, super simple and easy, right? Again, load up one towel with water, then have backup towels there. As soon as one towel starts feeling saturated, you're leaving streaks. Even if you're in the shade, you may not notice it. But switch towels constantly, right? Always have a nice dry towel. That's gonna make all the difference in the world. Now in that situation I showed you, we just used a wet microfiber towel. However, this is where this little guy comes in. It holds a decent amount of water. You have the microfiber on one side, and you have the ability to scrub things out even more when you need to. So this is a new tool that I've been using a ton. You also don't, you can just store this as well and then resaturate it and go again. You don't have to wash it at every single time, unless obviously if you're cutting through heavy grease and things like that, heavy fingerprints, dog prints, all that kind of good stuff. But I will load this up when I need it. I have this to remove all the interior, fingerprints, dog smudges, all that kind of good stuff. Does a fantastic job, blasts through all of it, and then when I'm doing the exterior, after a wash especially, it just needs a little bit of water so I can get that perfect finish. Well, then the microfiber side, I can just apply real quick, buff it out, and make it perfect. Just really quickly, guys, I wanna show you the effectiveness of using this exclusively. So I was working on a vehicle the other day. The vehicle had lots of bugs and guts and dirt and stuff built up on the windshield. I foamed down the vehicle and let that dwell, let the foam dwell. As it was dwelling though, I took this and went ahead and mechanically introduced this and rubbed this across the windshield, removing all the bugs and everything. With the soap mixture and this, it makes it extremely easy to cut through the bugs, even when they've been sitting on there quite a while. Sometimes you have to, agitate a little bit more than others, but it does a phenomenal job. After that, I rinsed off the vehicle, did the whole thing, and this is just exclusively throwing a Mega Knot towel, or any drying towel, but I use the Mega Knot, across the windshield, pulling it across. That is it. Now let's re-inspect that glass. And as you can see, there's still stuff on the inside, but overall, the exterior glass looks great. I will still go over this with my normal method after that to make sure everything's perfect for my customer. But man, this thing really does a fantastic job. Now for that situation where you don't wash your car and you are just looking to clean up the windows really quickly, same thing, guys. What I typically do is I'll load up a towel, hit it really quickly just with the wet towel, just to add some moisture to it. Then this is saturated and I go in and start agitating across the glass with this. Obviously make sure there's no hard pebbles or anything like that on the glass. You don't want to rub that into the glass. But typically just this thing, remove everything, take a dry towel, wipe that up. I'm gonna show you a 50-50 split on another customer's car that I did. Again, just this. I purposely did not agitate the glass when I was washing the car so that all those bug guts were still on there. Just did this process on half of it. Here you go, guys. I'm gonna show you right now. As you can see, one side perfect. The other side, as you can see, is still left over and looking nasty. But even without washing the vehicle first, right? Even without trying to wipe it down, it just got a little bit of soap and water on it. This thing did a phenomenal job of cutting through all that stuff. No chemical, really easy for me just to go buff it out for a perfect streak-free finish. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope this video helps you. Really, try these things out. I have them available on my website, but I think they're also available on Amazon, so I'll link them there for you as well. Yeah, phenomenal stuff. I really like it. Like I said, these two towels are my go-tos for my windows. This is what I used in the past. This one has become my favorite go-to now, just full transparency. But both options are great. That's it. I hope that video helps you guys. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you on the next one.